So I am going to speckle this a little bit. I'm going to put some stars in the sky. So I'm just using my trusty old toothbrush here. Everybody say hello when you come in. So Mary and Joseph are going to look a little speckly for the moment until we base coat them in, but I do want to get a little bit of a starry sky in there. All right. And I'm going to put a little bit of texture, a little bit of a brown speckle on the ground. I'm going to do the same thing with a little bit of that burnt umber on the ground. We'll see if I can get a little speckle on there without getting too much where it's not supposed to be. So we'll just put that in there and then we'll get going on base coating. So hopefully everybody sticks around and watches a little late night paint with me. All right, I'm just getting my fingers cleaned off there with a little wet wipe because I'm messy. I'm messy. All right, so we're just going to start basing in these lovely people. And I'm just going to start with hair, and I'm just using a little burnt umber. Now, I am going to be offering this. I'm going to see, you know what, I'm not going to say it out loud. Well, I will say it out loud, but I'm going to see how this turns out. And then I probably will be offering the free line drawing for this. But let's just see how it turns out first. Maybe then we'll say we'll be popping that up there, but most likely we'll be popping that up for everybody. So we're just going to see how quick we can do some base coating here. Joseph has a little bit of a interesting hair here, so I have to concentrate because it's kind of, he didn't comb his hair today, clearly, I'm telling you, because it's a little raggedy, but no, I'm just kidding. It's looking all right. Looking fine. So if I'm not looking up at the comments, it's because I kind of want to get concentrating on how to, or to get this all base coated in so we can get to the fun stuff and see how many nice details and shading and all that stuff that we can add. So where are my night hawks this evening? It's late. I worked until 7 p.m. and raced home and got prepared. Was on the late shift this week. All right, we'll give Mary a little bit of hair here. She's going to have some long hair. You can feel my hand touching wet paint down here. I'll probably be covered before it's all said and done. It's always not stressful. That's not the word I want to say. It's always a little hectic in my brain trying to get prepared to do a live, and it's weird because it's really not that huge of a deal, but when you're getting ready to do a live, it's like you're trying to remember all the things and oh shoot, where's my microphone? And I'm all over the place. And I did almost forget my microphone. And it wasn't plugged in, it wasn't charged. And the last second I was like, Lordy, where is my microphone? And I forgot that last night I went to bed and it was still on my shirt. And I was like, what the heck? Now I'm sleeping with microphones. I was like, oh my gosh, you need to get yourself together. Hello, Dolores. All right, so we're just swatching in a little bit of light blue here and trying to be quick about it because, you know, I don't want to spend my whole night base coating. Anyone that watches me knows that this is my least favorite part of painting, and it's not that I don't dislike it. It's just I want to get to the fun stuff. And this is like the necessary part that we have to do. But I just want to get to the fun stuff. All right, so we're going to come up here and finish this little robe. We have this just to block this in, and then we got lots of steps left. Bear with me. All right, so we got that pretty much blocked in. And of course, we always most likely will need a second coat, but we're going to move on to Mary. Hello, Julie. Hi, Paula. All right, we have a little bit of pinkish color over here for Mary. Now, this may not be traditional proper colors, but this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. And who knows what the, you know, like, I don't know what proper colors are, but we're doing pink and blue. That's what we're doing. That's what I picked. I thought it looked nice, and we're going with it. So we have these two kind of in behind the manger just a little bit. I'm sorry for all the spinning, but it's just faster and easier for me to move it around so I can reach it without getting my hands all up in there, because that is what I do. I make a mess. And I will dry this here in a second, just because I'm afraid that it will get in there by accident. I think I need a smaller brush to get in there. So I'm bringing this kind of in quite far because they're kind of in the background, and once we get all the hay in the manger and all that stuff, it will kind of cover over top of that a little bit. So that's my plan anyway. All right. Just give this a quick dry, and then I'll see where I have to kind of touch it up a little bit. Hi, Deanna. Oh, there's Mary Lou. Sorry, I'm just going backwards to see who's here. Who's saying hello? All right, so we'll let that go for a second. I'm just going to grab some buttermilk. Oh, there's Sue. How's Sue? I'm glad there's some people stayed awake for me. I always hear it's already past my bedtime. I'm not watching that late. I'll catch the replay, which is totally fine. I mean, that's totally fine. I know I'm on late. But I have to kind of do the late ones when I'm working late, because as it is, I still rush home and get things ready. I couldn't imagine if I tried to do an earlier live, I'd be a mess. I would be a mess. I would not have it together enough to do an earlier one when I'm working evening shifts. All right, so I'll get this blocked in here. We have a little bit of it down the back here. This is like, how fast can you base coat something? We're going to find out. I'm good, Miss Sue. I'm good. Probably going to be ready to fall into bed after this, though. I'm a little bit tired tonight. Probably watch a show for about 5 minutes and fall asleep. You know you're old when. I can't play with the big girls anymore. All right, coming along here. Doing a little quicker than I thought I could. All right, we're going to get this initial coat on here. We're going to give it all a really good dry and then see if I need any extra anywhere. I know I'm going to have to put another coat on that buttermilk over there, probably here as well. So did you guys catch any of the other crafters today on the event? Have you been watching? There's been some fun things on, I mean, some really nice projects on there today. I did, like I said, sneak a peek every now and then. Alrighty. Now, let's just get some of that flesh color in there. Let's get that happening. We'll start over here with Joseph. We'll go around the outer edge because it's, like I said, it's a little bit of a choppy kind of hairdo there. So we have to paint around a little bit. His ear in here. And then we'll just get this outlined and then I'll bring in my bigger brush and fill that all in. His neck. Alrighty. So we'll fill this in with a bigger brush to get that moving, and then we'll move on over to Mary and get her face blocked in. And then I'll start working on the manger while this is drying a little bit. And then I think I'll give the whole thing a good dry. Yeah, I'm hoping the pink and blue is going to work out. Let's just see. We'll see. I mean, we won't know until it's finished. We'll see how it goes. We will see what it looks like. All right, so there we have that outlined. We'll get that blocked in. Miss Mary over here. Now these are going to be faceless. I know not everybody likes that kind of style, but for one, it's quicker. than doing all face details. And I kind of like the look. I think it looks pretty cool. I like how it, yes, this is a round that will fit on the home sign. Yeah, it is, Sue. Absolutely. And like I said, I'll be getting you the line drawing after we're done here. After we get it all finished, and I can post a picture of what it's looking like. And you guys can give your own a whirl in time for the big day. It's creeping up on us fast. Can't believe it's December 1 already. Ridiculous. Hi, Connie. All right. So let's get this manger happening here. So I'm going to do a little bit of burnt umber down here. And we'll get this blocked in, and then we'll give it all a good dry, and then I'll quickly go over it, and if I need to do a second coat, which I can see right now, I'm going to have to touch it up in some places, especially the faces and that lighter shade of flesh color for sure. Whoops, I keep trying to want to dip into that pink. Why? I must like that color this evening. Paint everything pink. All right, look at this majority. See, I almost did it again. What is with that? What's going on with me? Help me, ladies, help me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm having a time. All right. Just focusing in on that pink color. It is one of my favorite colors, though. That might be the reasoning. I like that blush pink color. All right. Okay. Thanks, Bee. All right, let's get this cooking here. And we'll go back in on those faces. This is mostly just so I don't get my big meat hooks up in here. Notorious for it. All right, let's get a little bit more of this flesh tone. I got a little brown in there happening. Ugh. Ugh, ugh, ugh. Okay. I'm sorry it takes me so long to get these base colors on here. But a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. All right. Another little coat. Now, I'm not going to focus too much on these hands because when I get going with this straw in the manger, it's going to cover those hands. I'm going to have to put another coat on them anyway, so I'm just going to stop coating those because I'm going to have to revisit those at some point. So we'll just ignore those for a minute. Now, I do have his belt over here and his cuffs to put in. We're going to do that soon. Okay. Now on a norm, I would, you know, not be basing in this quickly, and, you know, I would probably be, you know, in my own brain and just slowly taking my time. But because these little segments are 45 minutes long, you have to kind of pick up the pace a little bit. So if it's not perfect, you know, forgive me, but we'll do the best we can with what we got going on here. All right, I think I'm gonna go with what I got having on there already and move on to the robes again and just put another quick coat on those. And then I think we should be able to start shading a little bit. So we'll get Mary fixed up over here. So she doesn't have blue shining through her robe. And once we get the shading on, I mean, it will all come together, I hope, and should look just fine. A little bit of other color in there. Sheesh. Girl. All right. And it looks like poor Joseph needs another little bit on his face. I'm going to give this all a quick dry here in a momento, because if I keep trying to put wet paint on wet paint, it's just going to pull it off instead of putting it on, and then we'll be defeating the purpose of what we're trying to achieve here. Let's get another bit on this first. Then we can get down to business. Hey. And I think we're good to go. I'm going to slap another coat on their faces here in a second. And then I should be able to start shading these out. What do we got for time? Whew. That was probably the fastest base coating I've ever done. It's a lot of little pieces in here. Okay. Are you tired of watching me base coat yet? You know, you can say it. I apologize. I apologize. These lighter colors are a little finicky sometimes because, like I said, we were going over blue. If I had based it in white, but then it would have been another step to do, and, you know, all the things. Just all the things. Hi, Deborah. Okay, cool. Well, let's get some of, we'll start over here with Joseph. We'll get some deep midnight blue. We'll get a little bit, ooh, did you see that? That's pretty good reflexes for an old lady, isn't it? Pretty good, gotta say. All right, so now let's do some shading. So let's get this here done. Now I am going to bring this over, and I want to just get, the arm placement right. The size of the circle is a 10-inch. 10-inch. So let's get that in there. We'll get hers in here. And that should be good. So I know where I'm going. Absolutely beautiful. Okay. So we'll start with some of the deep midnight blue. Like I said, some of this won't be seen in here behind the manger, but we're going to do it kind of in succession anyway so that we can get it all right. Here along this bottom edge. And we'll come in here behind his arm. And I'm just going to paint that little belt of his with some deep midnight blue here in a moment. Just because I have that color out and it will work. And we have a little bit of a part in here for his other arm. And we're just going to shade all the way around here just to make this pop a little bit. And I want to go on the inside edge of his arm over here. Now, bear with me because it usually takes, you know, as we go, it's a process. It starts to take shape as we go. It might not look quite right now, but it will. So I'm just using a little bit of alizarin crimson to do my shading here. And she has a little bit of an arm over here as well. And some under here. And I'll just come up the back side a little bit. And we'll bring some in here. Like I said, we may not see too much of that in there, but it's all good. Okay, where am I at here? I wanted to fill in that. We only have 15 minutes left. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to use a little bit of burnt umber here on this little robe part here. Yeah, the shading really does make it pop for sure. Adds a whole other look to it. Now, like I said, I'm being a little bit fast with it, and normally I would, you know, be a little more relaxed with it, but I'm trying to get as much done as I possibly can in a short amount of time. I'm just going to come along this whole edge here. And then we can shade out the faces, and I'm going to grab some white. A little bit of white along this edge, the top edge, just as a highlight. And along this edge as a highlight. And we'll do the same thing with Mary's. We'll put a little bit of something there. A little white across the top. All right. And then I'll grab a little bit of this melon color. And we'll shade their faces. We'll get a little bit of this in here, and that will also change up the whole look as well once we get the shading on here. And then we'll start that hay. Oh my gosh, I have to shade the Manger a little bit too. I'm lying to you. I don't mean to. I don't mean to at all. Let's get down in here on his neck, and then we'll come around here. And now that little jaggedy stuff around his hair. Ooh, I don't have any black. The original flesh tone that I used for the base was natural buff, and then the shading was melon. I'm just going to put a little bit of black here as a contrast on the hair. And then we'll go right into the Manger. We're going to shade some black in there as well. We can add a little bit of curls and waves through here. And then we'll give Mary a little bit of a shaded hair. And now we're going to the Manger. All right, we've done it. We've got there. So let's just go straight across here. And then up these sides. We have to get this shaded first before we do our hay, because there's no going backwards. We can't go backwards, because once the hay's on there, it's kind of on there, and it's covering up some of this. So it's a little hard to shade around all of that straw, hay, whatever you want to call it, after the fact. So we'll get this on here first, and then we can go ahead with the rest. Right, I'm going to grab a little bit of that brown, a little bit of that white, and I want a little bit of a lighter color, and we'll just kind of skiff it across there. A little highlight. Okay, let's dry that. We're going to add some straw. All right, and so I'm going to use burnt umber, marigold, and a little bit of buttermilk for this. And I'm just going to use a little liner brush. There I am. There it is. And I'm going to start with my burnt umber. Almost said a bad word. Can't be doing that. Can't be doing that. It's dirty. I got to clean it. No cussing when we're doing religious paintings. None of that. You'll be in trouble. All right, so we're just going to go all the way around baby Jesus here and kind of, and you see where I said I'm probably going to cover up their hands. It's because I am, and that's why I said we'll have to come back and put another little coat on there. And we're just going to go all the way around this. And we're just kind of flicking out some little strands here. And this is just the first layer, so we're just kind of getting the direction of them on first. Forgot poor Mary's arm over here. Heck, you probably saw me do that too. We'll get her on the back slide here in a second. Some of this happening first. Because once we get this straw on here, it kind of like starts to look a little closer to done. Once we get that all kind of directional there, I'm going to now dip into my marigold color. Oh, thank you, Mary Lou. I'm trying, girl. All right. So then we'll add some of this marigold color. And it's kind of like wet on wet right on that burnt umber. And I don't mind so much if it kind of mixes in there. That's sort of what I want it to do. I kind of wanted it to be wet on wet, because if that brown sort of mixes in there, it's one less step you have to worry about. You're kind of blending it as you put it on, which is saving you a bit of a step, really. And even if some of this brown is dry, you can even dip back into that brown and pull some right back in there, right on top of what you're doing. If it gets too much marigold, you see, you can just pull some of that brown right back on top of it and kind of blend it all together. Because that's kind of what we want it to do. We want to have those colors kind of meshing together. You don't want them to be all separate, and you kind of want it all to be uniform like that. And you can see it's starting to look a little more like some straw now. And I can tell that I'm probably going to go over time a little bit. Hopefully not too much. I don't want to be greedy with the time. I know I'm the last one, but I may go over just a smidge. Just smidge. Because I have a really neat star that I want to put up here as well. And I want to show you how I do that. So if you do paint your own, you'll know how to get that done. So there, kind of go all the way around. And now I'm just going to take a little bit of that buttermilk and I'm going to throw that in there, here and there, just for a little highlight on my straw. And you don't have to put a whole lot in here. You can just throw a few little strands of it in, and it just kind of breaks up those darker colors and just makes it pop a little bit more, I think, anyway. I'm just going to pull all that in there real quick. And then we can bring in baby Jesus swaddle. All right, I'm not going to fuss with that too much more, but I think you get the idea of where I went with that. And with the swaddle, let me see, I want to do his face in here in the center. So I'll just get that lined out and get that first coat on there. And then I'll do the swaddle. How's it looking so far? Even for a fast painting, I hope it's going okay. All right, so I'm just going to take a mix of this light blue that I used on Joseph's robe, and I'm just going to mix it down even more. Even with some of that buttermilk, I'm just going to kind of mix all that little bit together. I'm going to get a bigger brush. Heaven's sakes, I'm going to get a bigger brush. And just to bring that down to a lighter blue, and I'm just going to pull that in there. And I don't even mind so much if it sort of just blends on my brush as I'm doing it. You know, even if I bring some of that lighter color in, I'll just blend it in there, and whatever color it comes up to be with that little blend of light colors in there, I'm okay with it. And then I'll get my smaller brush to go up around his head. I'm liking that. Ooh, dear. Thought I dropped it on my painting. Would have been a do-over. Would have been a do-over. So we're just going to go up around his head here. And we'll give this all a quick dry because I want to do a little shade around. Did Miss Tracy come on here by chance? Did she say I could go over time a little bit? Not sure if she's watching. She's probably tired after a long day of sharing everybody into the group. She's a busy woman. All right, so far I'm looking pretty good, but I think you'll like the way I do the star. It's kind of neat. Now, if I were sitting doing this, and I know when you get your line drawing, take a little more time, put another coat of shading on here, do a little dry brushing of with some buttermilk or something on their robes, and you know, like just add the little extras. Add the little extras. You know, take the time to put that second coat of shading on, and it really does make a difference. Okay, I'm liking that. So we'll let his little face dry, and I will go ahead in with some, see, it's 11:30, so I am going to go over just a smidge. Okay, so I'm going to take some burnt umber, and I'm going to go right around his little swaddle here, right up against that straw, because now it's going to add a whole different, it's going to look like he's inside there. Without it, it just kind of hanging out there. But this way, you can see how it gives it that depth now, which is an important part of it for sure. We'll go all the way around his head. And then what we'll do is we will shade his little swaddle with some of that deep midnight blue, just here on the bottom edge. And then we'll, while his face is drying, actually I'm going to dry his face because it'll get in the way of the, I have to use a ruler to show you how to do the star. and I will have to go right in that spot. So we might as well just finish him, and then we'll put that star on there. But like I said, when you get your line drawing for this, take the time to put that extra coat of shading on there. And you know, maybe it doesn't need it. I mean, I don't know if mine will need it either once I get it finished. It usually comes together at some point, but you'll be taking a little more time with yours. So you can also kind of bring a little bit of, you know, some wrinkles in here with that deep midnight blue. Like so. Looks pretty good. And then I'm going to, I'm just doing it all. I'm doing it all. I had a flat brush here. What did I do with it? Heck, we'll use this one. I'm just going to grab a little bit of burnt umber, and you can put a little bit of that kind of just using the side of your brush for some ground down here under them so they don't look like they're standing out in space. And you can even put a little bit of hay down here if you wanted to. Now let's dry his little face. I also want to grab a little bit of this red because I forgot poor Miss Mary's arm over here. So let's get that in there too. For a little bit more of a color in there. And I do have to put their hands back in because they're kind of resting on top of the cradle, the manger. Okay, so we'll just get a little bit of that. So her hand is here. And she has a cuff here as well. So we're going to do that in that darker color. And we'll also do his little hand back over here. And then we'll shade those when we do the baby's face. But I do want to show you the star. So the star is pretty simple, and it doesn't take much time to do, but you do need a ruler. So I have my little ruler here. I stole from my child. So I'm going to get a stencil brush and a little bit of that marigold. So I'm just going to start here, kind of in the center. Grab my stencil brush. Get that dry because it's going to be dry brushed. And I'm going to just go along the edge of that to get a nice sort of straight line. And then I'm just going to mute it out like that. And then we're going to go through here, through the center, doing the same thing right along that ruler. And this way it kind of just keeps it sort of straight. And then you can mute that out a little bit. And we're just going to keep going through this way. And when we do through this way, we're going to extend it all the way down to the very edge. So we have this kind of nice glow coming over all of them from the star, which is like, I think is the cool part of this. It makes it really cool on the background. So we'll do that to there, and then we'll put this in behind Joseph here. Extend that down. I'm running out of paint on my brush. And we'll get a little more paint. And mute that one out. And then you can just kind of go over it anywhere you need to, just kind of put that little bit of a glow around it. And then you can even grab a little bit of lemon yellow, which is a brighter yellow. And add that, because it's just a little bit of a different tone of yellow. I'm just going to add that in there too a little bit. I like it. I think this really makes it just a little different. There we go. So let's shade baby Jesus' face and their hands, and I think we're going to sign off. I think that, you know, I've pretty much done all the damage I can do for one night, and I've gone over by just a very few minutes, but I think he turned out pretty good. It all turned out pretty decent. So we can just shade these hands. Now, I would have probably added another coat to these hands, but we're just going to add the shading to them. Oops, Lord. I'm having a time. There. A little bit of this natural buff color, and we'll just kind of mix that in there. But I think you get the idea. All right, what do you think? Turned out pretty good. Pretty good for a rushed painting. All right, so I will get this line drawing up for you guys, and then, excuse me while I get rid of my dust, and then you can give it a try as well. Like I said, all you have to do is just take a little more time with it and not rush. And I'm just going to put a little bit of, see, I can just keep looking here and see where I could be adding things. Just put a little bit of shade along the top of that ground over here.